Hey, welcome back. And I am really happy to introduce, well, you know this guy. His name is Josh Juarez. Josh's Snow Shack. If you have not had a Josh's Snow Shack, I don't even want to call them snow cones because that doesn't fit what they really are. They're like snow ice creams, the best things you'll ever have. Then you are probably the only one person who in Tulsa who hasn't. I've known this guy since, gosh, how old were you when we first met, do you think?
I mean, I had to have been 21, maybe 22. I started Josh's when I was 19. So like, I think 3 years in or so, you were like coming maybe with your family. And it was one of those deals where it was like, oh, we should do something. And then you became my ticket to making sure the rest of the Tulsa knew I was opening. I'd be like, Rick, I'm about to do something. We're going to open in a few days. And you'd come out and give us all the press. So it was always great.
You know what? And it's worthwhile because not only are you a young entrepreneur, I know you've helped a lot of other young people with their own businesses, but you are a Tulsa guy who's helped Tulsa. And that's kind of my focus and my feature. And you're about to do that again. As a matter of fact, right behind you, I see what looks like pickleball courts.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you saying that. A big passion of mine and like something I am truly passionate about is like making Tulsa great and being a part of the growth of it. And even though it started with snow cone stands and all that, like I like to think that we're part of the Tulsa kind of culture.
Yep.
And that's kind of how this is just a further extension of that. What we've created here at 121st and Memorial is it's called Courts and Commons, and basically, it's eight indoor pickleball courts and a food hall, all in one big package. So that's what I've been working on the last couple of years.
All right, so I have to ask, and it would make sense, something like Mother Road Market really kind of opened eyes to a lot of people. And those kinds of things have been in other bigger cities really for many years. And in
Yeah.
some smaller ways, I mean, you could call food courts at malls a little bit like that, I suppose. But then when Mother Road came along, it really did spur some ideas. What spurred it in your mind?
I mean, it's exactly that. Like, I actually really love Mother Road Market, and when I first started dreaming this up, I had the opportunity to talk to some of the people that were behind that, and it just kind of picked their brains. And for me, going to cities like Dallas or Austin or Denver or Seattle, or I mean, like you go to any of these big cities, and you're like, they have three or four food halls in a 5 mile radius, like where it's like it's very prolific in bigger cities. So, being a South Tulsa person, like that's where I live. This is where, I kind of spend a lot of my time. There's just not a lot of local options in South Tulsa. So my thought was that like if we could create that for South Tulsa because it's so great for Mother of Market is incredible. And if we create a small version of that so that people don't feel like they have to go all the way out there while also supporting, local chefs and local entrepreneurs as well at the same time, then it's like, well, why not do that? So when I started thinking this up, my thought was, I mean, if people have ever heard of like a chicken and pickle, which is in Oklahoma City, they're all over. We're kind of closer to that model in the sense that like that's how the court systems work. Like you just book a court, there's no membership, like it's just come and play, and then we'll have tournaments and leagues and things like that, all kinds of programming. But when I thought about what I love about chicken and pickle, it was like that. Like you show up and like rent a court. Well, then I was like, the problem with chicken and pickle for me was that like, well, you have one type of food option. So I'm like, why not try to have five food options and have something that people could choose from while all kind of doing this whole food hall thing. So for that, I think that's kind of how it came together. It was just like you take something that works and that's really cool, and then you try to create something new. And I kind of have this philosophy of like there's really nothing new. I think like what is it, Ecclesiastes? They say like there's nothing new under the sun. There really isn't. But for me, it's very much like, but you can take some little pieces and create and say things a little differently or present things a little differently. And that's all this is. It's just another expression of a space for people to have community really and eat and play.
29,000 square feet. You got a lot of room there, six pickleball courts. You know they're going to be full like that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's actually eight indoor pickleball courts, but yes, yeah, yeah, eight and 100%. That's our goal is that like, if we can keep when I once again, like I'm all about community. So when I realize that there are people on this planet, believe it or not, that hate pickleball, they think it's an atrocity. They can't stand the noise. They can't all these things. And so when I was thinking this space up, that was kind of the food hall element where I'm like, if I can get people that hate pickleball to love the space, then I'll be really proud. And that's kind of what we've done here is that like the space is really special. There's a lot of little nods to a lot of different things and little Easter eggs throughout the whole space. I mean, we have three different local artists represented in the space through murals and design and art. And so I'm really proud of being able to do that. And so we've tried to create a space that is very comfortable for people who might hate pickleball to still be like, that's one of my favorite places in Tulsa to go to. Because I mean, our outdoor space is huge turf space overlooking a lake or a pond. And so it's pretty neat. Like I think that that was one of the goals. So yes, the courts will be busy. We hope, and then hopefully the restaurants can really do what they need to do and be successful as well.
All right. So explain how many restaurants, and you mentioned pop up and local chefs, that kind of thing, or not pop up, but local chefs. How are you going to work
Yes.
it?
Yeah, so we have the restaurants that have kind of been birthed out of this place or that will be birthed out of this place. There's a smoothie and juice concept called Outcast. I'm looking over at them all right now. Outcast smoothie bowls. And they do acai bowls, they do fresh squeezed juice and all that. Then we have an American like modern American food. It's kind of think like gastropub. It's called Backcourt Kitchen. That's kind of our house restaurant that we're a part of here that will be really pushing kind of tennis culture at the same like tennis racket sport culture and also unique kind of takes on food on American foods, the things that you love with a little twist. And so that's kind of like that's our bar as well. So it's Backcourt Kitchen. It's called Modern Food and Drink. And then what's really neat about the space being able to be collaborative is that like all the juices in the bar that you use for your cocktails or anything like that are being squeezed fresh, like they're being bought from Outcast. So it's kind of neat to kind of have these synergies that you can kind of work together on. And then we have a sourdough pizza concept called Moonrise. And it's just sourdough crust and then unique pizza, in that. And they have salads and wraps. So it's salads, wraps, and then sourdough pizza. And
Well,
then go ahead.
no, it's a little bit of everything already. What
Yes.
else?
Yeah. And then the last one is El Coyote Guapo, and that's Latin food. So, there's a lot of Tex-Mex in Tulsa, and
Mhm.
I almost call it Tulsa Mex because it's like you go to all these different spots and like they're all great, but they have similar things. And this spot's cool because they're featuring kind of different flavors from different Latin countries. So you've got, I think the world's best Cuban on the menu there, and then they've got some Peruvian chicken tacos, and then they have like some more California style guacamole, and so you kind of have these different kind of pockets of Latin flair, Latin food being presented out of that space. So that's everything. So we tried to be really intentional about what was put in here and curating something that doesn't cannibalize one another
Right.
and really is a way to be symbiotic. So, if I come with my family, I know everyone's got a spot they can go to without really, hopefully, cannibalizing themselves.
I love, love, love Cuban, so I'll be there
Yes,
for that. And I'm also a
yes,
big fan of Peruvian, but my family likes all Latin American, Southern American food,
sweet.
if you will. Are these going to be static? Or are you going to change some up? Will you have some pop-ups?
Yeah, so the goal right now, we'll have a few like small like pop-ups in the sense of like kiosks. So like on opening day, which is on Saturday, we're gonna have there's a local the guys that did Foolish Things Coffee, are gonna come out and present a drink they've been working on. It's like a canned latte type of deal. So we'll have those types of things come up. I mean, the backcourt kitchen is the bar, but then I didn't even mention this. Like in the morning, the bar functions as a coffee, so it's coffee espresso in the morning, and then bar at night. So that's a pretty cool offering for South Tulsa because there's just literally nowhere like that in South. And so they're going to be collabing with that group. So we'll have that, and then we'll have like a chiropractor out here on Saturday, just doing some free little kind of like or it's a physical therapist actually. I'm sorry, not a chiropractor. Doing hey how to stretch before you play pickleball or things like that. So pop-ups like that. We might have some goat yoga going on Saturday. So like we'll have like I said like this space for me, the original name, the placeholder. I knew it would never be called this, but the placeholder for courts and commons was just the local. And the thought was that like it really pushes everything local. So a lot of these restaurants are sourcing their food from local farms. And that's pretty neat. And then everything we do from like the bands that we have come through will be local, and we're just doing as much as we can to really push local. So any people that want to collab on something, if they can somehow bring value and we can bring value to them, then we're going to open up pockets of space for them. As far as the restaurants, the goal is that those would be static, unless they don't succeed, of course. So like if they struggle and they need to swap out, they could be we could have someone else come in.
Pardon me, I'm going to adjust this light here
No,
so
you're
it's
good.
not quite as there we go. Not quite as wow, that's doing something unusual. All right, so you mentioned outdoor space. What all plans do you have for your outdoor space?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the we have to get you out here, and we'll do a recorded one. I can carry my computer around. Maybe I'll do that at the end if you need it. But basically, the outdoor space is we have a covered patio and an upstairs patio as well outside, and that patio overlooks a 75 by 45-foot turf area. And so we have a big turf area, and then we have grass and things like that. And just a big expansive area for once again families to just hang out. And the thought for me was that like I think people bash Tulsa sometimes and like it's so hot or it's so cold or whatever. I'm like, I actually think we get like 150 beautiful, maybe 200 beautiful days like that are actually today is going to be an amazing day. This whole week is going to be like you could be outside all day and it'd be perfect. So like I want that to be a space that like you come, even if you don't eat anything, you just come and set up a picnic and hang out, and there'll be yard games. But really the big green space is meant to just be like let kids use their imagination and run around. There's not anything. We have cornhole, of course. We have bocce, or it's a different kind of French game, but it's kind of like bocce out there. And then like big Connect Four, and all the classic yard games are out there, so people can have fun. But like the big goal is that people just want to basically live here.
All right, now if I know you, and I do fairly well, I got to think that you have other plans in mind because you never just think today. You're always thinking tomorrow and next week and next month. So you have other thoughts down the road for this place?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, like this has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And it's probably aged me in ways I don't even know. But I think right now I'm so laser focused on I just want to make sure that when we open, we do it in a good way, and that when we mess up, which we will, we're able to pivot and adjust and make sure we make it right. So right now, the future for me is that like I got to get to this day next week. If I'm alive this time next week, I'll be in a good spot, because opening is going to be insane, I think. And so then we'll figure it out from there. But big long term goals for this space is that like we have our leagues and programming for the courts will start on in April. And so kind of figuring out, okay, what is the thing that people really want to use these courts most for? Is it going to be corporate events, birthday parties? Because we have all the space and all the things set in motion where if you have a corporate event and you have 50 people, we've got a great spot for you. If you want a corporate event and you've got 800 people, you can rent the whole space out and have it. So like we kind of have things set in place where we can accommodate that, but you never know what is actually going to come out of it. So long term for me is basically get open, figure out what works, and then go all in on that. And I'd be lying if I didn't say like I have, of course, with Josh is we open one and then we open another one and open another one. Like in a dream world, we open multiples of these across the country. And it started here in Tulsa. And when I said that, like when I dreamed it up, I dreamed of the space being like every one of these that opens will be local to that space. That's why I wanted to call it the local initially. Was that like if we opened one of these in, let's say, Denver or Austin or whatever, a big city, even a small, like anywhere, then the goal would be like we source local stuff from there. So like everything on tap here, every beer on tap is local. Even our spirits in the bar are local. So things like that, we're really trying to push that. But that's kind of where my brain goes. Like if we do another one, it'll have to be local to that area, and it will be courts and commons XYZ city, and it would be special in its own way.
I can see that. I can also see your original name though, the local dash Austin, the local
Exactly,
comma
exactly,
Tulsa. I
and
mean,
exactly. And you know what's funny is like I like it, and I'm actually in love with Courts and Commons because it just epitomizes what this place is. But it's a funny thing because like I knew it was a placeholder only because like if you Google the local, there's like hundreds of them. Like there's the local whatever bar. Like it's a common name
right.
for different areas. And so I knew it wouldn't be the right fit, but it still encapsulates what Courts and Commons is for Tulsa at least. So for that, it's like I think we I'm really proud of what this has become. But yeah, I 100% agree. Like if it's the goal for me is that like if you go to a city and you go to a Courts and Commons in that city, then it wouldn't look maybe it might have similarities, but the energy would be very intentionally that city.
Well, if you ever open one in Philadelphia, you may need guards because if I know those fans out there when they play pickleball, it might be like being Eagles fans. All
This
right,
is
so
true.
all right, on Saturday, I want you to walk us through. First of all, I want you to walk us through the address. Give us all the things you would do if you were doing a 60-second commercial for here's what we're doing and here's when and all that, so we can have it all in one place set or spot.
Yeah, that's great. So it's 60 seconds. Courts and Commons opens on March 15th, Saturday at 8 a.m. We'll be open till 11 p.m. And the reason you want to come out on that day is because we'll be doing all kinds of giveaways. We'll have free open play to the first 50 people that come in. So that way they can just go right in and basically it's kind of rotating open play. So you get some 2 hours of pickleball for a good time. And the first 100 people, we're going to be giving away some merch out too. And then we'll be giving out we haven't nailed it down exactly yet, but I will. We're going to be giving away like free food for some of the first people as well. So we have a lot of like giveaways going on. We'll have vendors here. We'll have people here that will be surely giving away some other stuff as well. So it's going to be an event. Like I said before, we might have some goats on the backyard, doing some goat yoga. So we'll be it'll be an event that you don't want to miss, and it'll be the first look at like something that's never been made before because there's really the hardest part of all this project has been like I don't know how to. There's no playbook for this. Like it's not that, it's not that, it's kind of that. So there's that. But we're at 121st and Memorial, and it's on the northwest corner, and it's 7921 East 119th Drive and use Google Maps. Don't use Apple Maps.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. That's
Apple
pretty
Maps
much it.
once tried to leave me in a lake, so no, I
Yes,
don't do
yeah,
it.
I,
But
I, I avoid it, but yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't do that again. Well, I got to ask overall, how's the family? How's the little ones?
Oh man, I think the last time we hung out, my kids were real little, but my daughter is turning 15 in a month. My son is 13, and my youngest son is 9. So they're just it's like the most fun because they're all just doing their life and they're growing and they're developing. So they're great. And then Angie and I are just, trying to get through this project and stay alive through it. But she's been a massive support and really the backbone of everything that I've ever created. She's that. So yeah, it's been good, man. It's been fun.